Hello, ladies. He one where you walk into a room and suddenly you feel small, not because you're not enough, but because someone made you believe you're not. You send the message and it's left on read. You give your time, your energy, your heart, and all you get back is silence, distance, or half interest. Let me tell you something. When someone stops valuing you, the biggest mistake you can make is to keep shrinking yourself just to stay in their life. Here's the trick, it's simple. It sounds like nothing, but it will change everything. Pull back. When someone stops valuing you, the most powerful move you can make is to pull your energy back. It may sound simple, almost too easy, but that simplicity is exactly what makes it so powerful. People often mistake silence or detachment as weakness, but in reality, it is one of the boldest and most dignified responses you can give. The instinct to argue, explain yourself, or fight to stay in someone's life when they're clearly drifting away is natural, but it's also exhausting. And more importantly, it's a battle you were never meant to fight. Love, friendship, respect, none of these things should require a chase. When you realize someone no longer sees you, respects you, or prioritizes you, the greatest act of self-respect is to withdraw, not dramatically, not with a scene, but quietly, confidently, and fully. This isn't about revenge. It's not about giving them a taste of their own medicine. It's not about hurting them like they hurt you. It's about choosing yourself when they didn't. You see, pulling back isn't reactive, it's responsive. It's not a tantrum. It's clarity. It's knowing your value and refusing to hand it over to someone who treats it carelessly. When you continue pouring your attention into someone who treats you as optional, you slowly start to forget how full and whole you were before you met them. You confuse their attention with your worth, and that is where the danger lies. Pulling back helps you reset that balance. It gives you the distance to see clearly, to breathe again, to realign with who you are, independent of how someone else treats you. When you pull back, you create space, not just between you and them, but within yourself, space for peace to return, space for self-worth to reroute, space for your time and energy to go back where it belongs, into your own growth, your own happiness, your own healing. The more you engage with someone who doesn't value you, the more you deplete your own emotional reserve. You stretch yourself thin trying to be seen, heard, and understood. But the truth is, anyone who truly values you will never put you in a position where you have to question it. And the moment you stop trying to convince someone to care, you begin to care for yourself in ways you didn't realize you were neglecting. This action, pulling back, is not passive. It's intentional. It takes strength. It takes courage to walk away from what you hoped would work, from someone you gave your heart to, from something that once brought you joy. But in that act, you are saying, I deserve better. And sometimes you need to say that to yourself more than anyone else. Because deep down you know it. You know your energy is valuable. You know your love is rare. And you know your time is sacred. So why keep offering it to someone who treats it like it's disposable? When you pull back, you may notice they suddenly reach out. They may ask where you went, why you're distant, why things feel different. That's fine. Let them ask. Let them wonder. Because now it's not about them. It's about you. You've shifted. You've chosen yourself. And no explanation is needed when the answer is peace. So the next time you feel devalued, dismissed, or ignored, don't beg, don't plead, just pull back. That simple act may be the most powerful transformation you'll ever initiate. The moment you stop centering someone who doesn't value you, you begin to reclaim something that was never theirs to hold, your power. Often, when people overlook us, take us for granted, or treat us like an option, we respond by giving more. We try harder, speak louder, love deeper, hoping they'll finally recognize what we bring to the table. But what we don't realize is that with every extra ounce of energy we give to prove our worth to someone who has already stopped looking, we're draining ourselves, we're pouring from a cup that's already running low. And the more we do it, the further we drift from our own center. You can't force someone to see you when they've chosen to look away. You can't make someone value what they no longer cherish. And the longer you focus on changing their perception, the more disconnected you become from your own. That's why the shift isn't about changing them, it's about reclaiming you. When you stop pouring your time, your thoughts, your emotional energy into someone who doesn't value it, you begin to shift the entire dynamic, not between you and them, but within yourself. Reclaiming your focus is not selfish, it's survival, it's essential. Your mind, your peace, your growth, your healing, these are not things to sacrifice for someone who cannot appreciate you. Redirecting your energy is a quiet revolution. It doesn't require confrontation or closure. It simply requires a decision. I choose me now. And in doing that, you slowly start to remember who you were before their attention mattered. You start to reconnect with the version of yourself that knew how to glow without validation, how to breathe without anxiety, how to feel enough without being chosen. And what's so beautiful, so liberating about this shift is that once you start focusing on yourself again, you realize just how far you drifted trying to keep them close. You begin to see clearly. You notice the moments you stayed silent just to keep peace. The times you bent your own boundaries hoping they'd notice your effort. The energy you wasted decoding mixed signals and trying to make sense of someone's inconsistency, all of that, it becomes fuel. Not for bitterness, but for healing. Your focus is your power source. When it's scattered across people who don't value it, your inner strength weakens. But when you gather that focus, when you bring it back home to yourself, something incredible happens. You begin to thrive again. You begin to create, to attract, to shine, not for their attention, but for your fulfillment. That's the real shift. That's the moment everything begins to change. Not because they came back, but because you did. People may notice. They might wonder why you stopped trying, why you stopped texting first, why your energy feels different. Let them. You're not obligated to explain your healing to those who hurt you. Your only responsibility is to protect your energy and honor your worth, because when your energy is back where it belongs, you stop feeling drained, you stop feeling anxious, you start feeling powerful. And that's the lesson. When you stop investing in those who undervalue you don't lose anything. You gain everything, your peace, your focus, your self-respect, and those are the things no one should ever take from you again. Choosing silence over explanation isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's restraint, it's dignity in its purest form. In a world that constantly tells you to speak louder, to argue harder, to prove your point, there is an unmatched strength in choosing to say nothing. When someone doesn't value you anymore, your first instinct might be to explain yourself, to tell them everything they're missing, to remind them of your worth, to ask them why they've changed. But the truth is, people already know what they're doing. If someone is ignoring you, being cold, inconsistent, or distant, they're doing it with intention. And no explanation from you will teach them what they already chose to forget. Silence, on the other hand, teaches without words. It draws a clear boundary without saying, "I've had enough." It's the refusal to engage in emotional tug-of-wars. It's the power to let someone feel your absence without reminding them of your presence. And when done with grace, it sends the loudest message of all. I don't need to beg to be valued. You don't have to write long texts to be understood. You don't need to scream your worth. If someone genuinely cares, they'll already know. And if they don't, no explanation will ever be enough. That's why silence is so powerful. It places responsibility where it belongs. It stops you from overextending and hands the weight of their behavior back to them. It says, I'm not going to play this game. I'm not going to chase. I'm not going to perform for affection. And here's the irony: the moment you go silent, people notice. Not right away, maybe, but they do. Your absence disrupts the pattern they took for granted. Your withdrawal forces reflection. Sometimes your silence says what 1,000 words never could. You lost access to me because you stopped valuing me. There's a kind of peace that comes with not explaining yourself anymore. You start to protect your energy instead of scattering it. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head, hoping to say the right thing to change someone's mind. You stop trying to convince someone to care. You finally understand that your value isn't determined by how others treat you, it's revealed in how you treat yourself. Silence gives you space, not just from them, but for you. Space to think clearly, space to refocus on what matters, space to listen to your own needs instead of bending to someone else's inconsistency. And the more you embrace silence, the more you grow. Not in noise, but in presence. Not in chaos, but in calm. You realize that not every action deserves a reaction. Not every insult requires a reply. Not every wound needs a witness. The loudest statements are sometimes made in stillness. The greatest revenge is often peace, and the highest form of self-worth is walking away without needing to explain why. Silence is not absence. It's power under control. It's confidence in knowing that you don't need to shout your worth to be valuable. You already are, and when someone no longer values you, the greatest thing you can say is nothing at all. When you pull back, the wrong people get confused, but the right people never make you question your value to begin with. That's the difference. When someone truly sees you, you won't have to chase their attention. You won't have to constantly wonder if you're enough, if you did something wrong, if they're drifting away. They'll be consistent, they'll show up, they'll recognize your worth without you having to remind them. We live in a world that's conditioned us to fight for love, to prove we're worthy of someone's time, to perform just to be noticed. But that's not real connection, that's survival, that's insecurity playing dress up, and it's not sustainable. The people who are meant for you, the ones who truly see your soul, they won't leave you guessing. They won't make you feel like you have to earn what should be freely given: respect, attention, care, presence. You can tell everything about a person by how they treat you when they have nothing to gain. When someone values you, you feel it in their tone, their consistency, their energy. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to script your words or overthink every interaction. You can just be. And that's the kind of peace that only real relationships, real love can offer. But here's the hard truth. The people who don't see your value will always be confused when you stop fighting for their attention. They'll suddenly notice your absence, they'll ask why you're distant, they might even act hurt. But where were they when you needed reassurance? Where was that energy when you stayed up at night wondering if you mattered? People don't get to neglect you and then feel entitled to your loyalty. They don't get to ignore you and then ask where your love went. That's why pulling back is a form of clarity. It separates who's really there for you from who was just enjoying your availability. It filters out the ones who are addicted to your attention but never invested in your heart, and it highlights the rare, beautiful truth: the people meant for you don't need a performance, they need presence. And yours is enough. Stop shrinking to fit into places that don't make room for your worth. Stop lowering your standards just to be enough. For someone who's unsure of what they want, you are not too much. You are not too intense. You are not too emotional. You are just too real for people who are not ready. And the moment you realize that, the moment you stop running after love that isn't meeting you halfway, you'll find a new kind of peace. You'll start attracting people who don't want to change you, fix you, or question you. They'll just see you fully, deeply, completely, and they'll meet you with the same energy you've always given so freely. Because the right people don't need convincing, they just need truth. And when you show up as your full, unapologetic self, they'll stay, not because you asked them to, but because they wouldn't want to be anywhere else. If someone has to lose access to you to finally realize your worth, let them. That's not your failure, it's their wake-up call. Sometimes people get too comfortable with your presence. They get used to your kindness, your consistency, your willingness to always be there, and they start believing it will last no matter how they treat you. They forget that your loyalty is a choice, not a guarantee, and when someone starts acting like they can walk in and out of your life without consequence, that's exactly when you need to close the door. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself. We all want to be understood, appreciated, and loved. That's human. But the danger begins when you stay in situations where you're consistently undervalued, just for the hope that one day they'll wake up and treat you right. You hold on, you wait, you make excuses, you convince yourself that they're just going through something, or they'll come around eventually. But how long are you willing to put your life on hold while someone decides whether or not you're worthy of basic respect? Letting someone lose access to you doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing them to treat your love like it's disposable. It means you no longer keep proving your value to someone who is clearly blind to it. And yes, sometimes when you walk away, it stings for them because they never imagined you'd leave. They thought you'd always be there, no matter how little they gave in return. But when that silence hits, when your energy is no longer available, when your absence replaces your presence, that's when reality starts to speak. Suddenly the calls come, the messages come, the questions start. Where did you go? Why are you distant? Can we talk? But by then, it's not about their regret. It's about your peace. It's about everything you gained when you stopped waiting for someone else to validate you. Because the truth is, if they needed to lose you to see your value, they never really saw you in the first place. Real ones don't need reminders. They cherish you in real time. They don't wait until you walk away to realize they had something rare. They know it, they show it, and they protect it. You deserve someone who sees you while they still have you, not someone who only understands your worth in hindsight. Your time, your love, your presence, that's sacred. And not everyone deserves access to it. So if stepping back, going quiet, or walking away is what it takes for someone to finally recognize what they had, then so be it. That lesson belongs to them. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. Your peace is the explanation. Your growth is the answer. And the next time someone treats you like you're replaceable, remember this. Sometimes your absence will teach them what your presence never could. And by then, you'll be too far gone to turn back, because the most powerful version of you doesn't chase closure, you become it. Stop performing for attention and start living in alignment. That's the real shift. The truth is, when someone doesn't value you anymore, your instinct might be to try harder. Say the right thing, act the right way, be more available, more patient, more forgiving. You start to twist yourself into something you're not, all in the hope of regaining what feels lost. But every time you do that, every time you adjust your identity to keep someone close, you lose a little more of yourself. And no relationship, no connection is worth the cost of your peace. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't come from someone finally texting back or saying what you needed to hear. It's not found in temporary fixes or emotional highs that keep crashing. Peace comes from knowing that you didn't abandon yourself in the process of trying to hold on to someone else. It's the quiet power of being okay, without them, without approval, without constantly wondering where you stand. When you stop performing, you start seeing clearly. You see who's really there for you, not the version of you that makes them comfortable or meets their needs. You begin to realize that genuine connection doesn't demand constant effort to be noticed. It just exists effortlessly, honestly, and more than anything, you start to breathe again because pretending is exhausting. Acting like everything's fine when you're hurting inside, always initiating conversations, always trying to prove you matter, it drains you. It steals from the part of you that just wants to be real, seen, understood. And here's the truth. People who truly care don't need a show. They don't need you to bend, shrink, or sparkle just to earn their attention. They'll meet you as you are, flaws and all, and they'll value the real you, not the performance. The more you align with who you really are, the more magnetic you become, because authenticity is powerful. There's nothing more attractive, more unshakable than someone who chooses themselves over approval. When you live in alignment, you don't chase anymore. You don't need to. You become rooted in your values, your standards, your inner calm, and that naturally filters out the people who only loved you for what you gave them. It draws in people who see your worth without needing a reason, and most importantly, it returns you to you, the version of yourself that doesn't compromise her soul to be loved. So stop editing yourself to fit someone else's comfort zone. Stop watering yourself down for the sake of being liked. Let them go if they need you to perform to stay interested, because real connection doesn't ask for a mask, it asks for truth. And the moment you choose peace over performance is the moment everything begins to shift. You stop trying to fix what's broken and start building what's real. You stop waiting to be chosen and remember, you already are. You are not here to entertain people who don't see your value. You are not here to convince anyone that you're worth loving. You are here to live fully and freely in alignment with your truth, and anyone who belongs in your life will honor that truth, not ask you to hide it.